One. And we are live. It's been a while, but BeagleY-AI launch party. Woo! Got the shirt. Got the
It's
good there.
shipping.
Done that.
It's shipping.
Yeah, we all finally have production boards in hand with a nice attached antenna. Would you look at that?
Very happy about that.
Don't try to install the antenna. It's already attached. So
Yeah, surprising amount of like quality of life improvements just from having the antenna attached. Yeah, so it's available. It's been selling out slowly, but the stock's coming back in. All major distributors. Yeah, I think so far so good. We've gotten pretty good feedback on it. People are starting to use it. There's still always work to be done, but I think given what it is, it's been kind of a fun experience, especially on the development side, to actually play around with it and make demos with it.
It's been super easy to make demos. I think there's a lot of low hanging fruit to go and tackle, but I've been having a lot of fun with just how easy it is to get something started.
Robert and I are playing with the NVMe hats always. Those are always fun. do all little adapters.
So,
PoE.
where did you find the is that a what key is that one?
It's a regular E key M.2, and then that's a 2280 with a little adapter, because I think the board itself was 2240 or something. It's one of the really early NVMe adapters.
otherwise,
and then, look at that.
You can use the Pi one too. Those work.
Yeah.
Trying to get that AI inference engine to work, but this one kills display right now. You can get this driver loaded, but you lose display.
Yeah. So we're going through the testing of all the hats, all the fun stuff. The PoE confirmed to work. NVMe works. A lot of fun stuff is there. Doing micro-E stuff now with that click hat, and yeah. Funny enough, they actually call this the click shield. They don't call it the click hat. So, but the board's up there. We're working on little accessories. There's been little mods that we needed to do, like the little JTAG clips. And this is the new fancier version with the little cutout hole in the.
But I've had the best luck with this PoE hat from WaveShare. So I've been playing with all the PoEs. This one doesn't get warm because there's a nice fan on it. This one there's no fan, so this gets a little warm, but yeah, PoE works fine.
Yeah. So I guess now that it's released, Jason, now that the board is out, it's in people's hands. What's the next step? What's your view of where you want to take this board? What are we driving towards here? What's our end
goal?
goal?
I mean, there's all the other distro images, right? So we've been having a lot of fun with the BB Imager, and so that allows you to get going a lot quicker, because you can always kind of fetch the latest image without having to go to the website, right? So it pulls it straight down into the imager and programs the SD card. We've kind of got a regular updates going on that. Need to clean up the graphics here a little bit. But yeah, see, that's July 3rd, doing regular updates on that. Still working on the process of making it where third-party contributed images, like we have a way to kind of filter and bring those in, right, to get all the other distros, like to get a Home Assistant image up there, right, so people could just flash immediately a Home Assistant, or one of the Raspberry Pi, the Pi Retro Pi images.
And you can see you got the BeagleCades up there.
I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I was saying we have the BeagleCades up there behind me.
Oh, the BeagleCades.
Waiting for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So something to load new images on the BeagleCade, get the more with the builder images, right? But making it easier so that we can add stuff to the list of images. I'm wanting to generally get people to register on the project site, and then to kind of kind of state their ownership of a particular distro, and then link back to that, right? So that we can kind of have some consistent ownership of different distro images. Right. Obviously, Robert owns the official Beagle Debian images, and so those are what's going out right now.
Yeah. And I guess we should explain right now why there's kind of two images, right? So we have kind of a stable release image, and then we have a beta image. So Robert, if you wanna kind of explain the reasoning for that this time around compared to what we normally do.
We do.
I mean,
So
it's the XFC cinnamon story.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say right now with the YA, we're still changing a lot, so there'll be a new image this Wednesday morning. So it's basically weekly updates with the YA right now. But I need to add the cinnamon image. Right now it's just XFCE. The cinnamon image actually has Wayland support, and you can actually fire up Firefox and type in Quake WebGL and play Quake on it. Now, something that just happened within the last couple weeks, if you follow the Mint guys, they have Cinnamon 6.2 already, and they're planning to go stable with that on 22.04. So our Cinnamon's based on 6.0, and 6.2 has been just recently merged into Debian SID. So in the next week or two, we should be able to backport 6.2 into our image too, and maybe that'll fix some of the weird issues we had in our experimental image. But so hopefully So, but yeah, acceleration out of the box with the cinnamon image. The regular XFC image, CL works. So CL info, you can run your OpenCL stuff that uses Imagination's coprocessor or GPU on here, but no 3D acceleration in XFCE yet. So it's all Wayland versus Xorg.
Yeah, one more open source argument that's leading to fun side consequences to that. But yeah, that's those two are out there. And then things like some of the gaming focused distros are going to be, OpenGL out of the box, so less of a concern there for those.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of the simplicity is going to be driven from, is when people can go to BB Imager and just select, from 100 different applications that are pre-configured. I look at things like Beagle, what's the privacy one that's got all the services set up? Anyway, there's a bunch of ones that just have everything set up for
I think of like Pi-hole or
stuff like Pi-hole, but I'm blanking on it. The Freedom Bone. Freedom Bone project. Are you familiar with Freedom Bone? It's a nice one because Freedom Bone lets people, it's got all the different services set up for it. There's another fork of that one, but there's getting some of these projects. So basically they have mail clients or mail servers set up so that you don't have to use Gmail. You can just have your own mail server set up. It's got a lot of the other kind of server utilities that you might use to take control of your web services rather than use third-party web services.
To own cloud or things like that, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Hosting own cloud sort of stuff, right? So I think that's a good, you're getting those solutions out where you can just directly set up your server, and then including those setup scripts for moving everything to the NVMe, right? Because that's giving that large storage over the PCI Express.
There's some nice hats out there too, so you can do there's multi-gigabit LAN and NVMe hats, so you can do both at the same time. Those are probably fun because you could do you could do like a little Proxmox server if you wanted to, or something like that, right? You could do ad blocking just through the pass through.
But when you're talking about security too, with the direction Andrew's been playing with Zephyr, we could pretty much run Zephyr on almost all the cores. So the out-of-box image, we have firmware for the R5 and both R5s.
Yeah,
So
that's been really fun. Sorry, go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, so you boot up, install your own version of Zephyr on multiple cores on it, and use MicroPython through Thony, and that was a nice sprint by Andrew, who just got it working pretty quickly, and it's installed by default.
Yeah, and there's always the Arduino core for Zephyr as well that we can look at as well.
So it's kind of a challenge for the community. See if we can get Zephyr running on everything. So Zephyr booting up, Zephyr starting the A53s, Zephyr running on all the DSPs, Zephyr running on all the R5s.
You joke, but that's just you being considered. It's not even, which is great to see. It's exciting that Zephyr's picking up as much as it is, and but
so it should be real easy. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say the one thing you didn't mention about the BD Imager is just how nice the config stuff is. So if you don't want to change your config .text file in your or your SD card, your boot partition, BD Imager does it for you, and you can set your Wi-Fi credentials, everything else in there, just without having to.
Yeah, do you have a card loaded so you can show that screen? Because we're going to add some extra buttons.
I actually don't right now.
I don't have a card loaded, so if I bring it up, it's not going to point to the right things.
I think I showed a YouTube video of showing it working.
Yeah, once you get to that config screen, right? So we're actually going to add some check marks, for some of the other boards, right, to allow you to do the flasher images for boards that have the onboard flash. But one of the goals I have is to try to get it where people doing NVMe drive setups, right? So how do we get the extlinux.conf update, right, so that we can load the configuration that we want on boot, right? So I think that's kind of the next thing is customization of extlinux.conf. So you can, we've got a number of different images, like with it's the configurations, like for setting the DSI or setting the OLDI displays, right? So eventually we can put those all into BB Imager. You get able to get to the customs. There you go. Nice.
There we go.
Right. So, being able to get you on the Wi-Fi right away, get the SSH IDs in. But if you go into the options settings for now, right, these are mostly simple settings, but we can give a lot more check boxes here. I think to go and enable things like, do you want it to flash the eMMC, the NVMe, or enable the DSI or some things like that. So I think we can kind of give some advanced options.
Load overlays
here.
Yeah.
So that the images can do what they want right at boot up, right? So this is just requires a little bit of coordination between Robert and I on things that are executed on startup and things that are checkboxable, and things I can write into the FAT partition. So this is giving us a lot of flexibility to get people, the information they need kind of at their fingertips rather than having to go and do a lot of hand editing.
Yeah, it's a big quality of life upgrade, I think, especially because now you don't need to hunt down images anymore, right? It kind of downloads it for you. It's actually nice. I realize it caches them too, so it's it's fast every.
Yep. So if you do it again, just get the latest image, but it keeps all your settings around, and it pulls the keys for you too, right? So if it pulls your keys from your user account for the SSH authorized keys, so you can grab those real easy and give yourself a secure way to log in without providing password access.
Yep, and this is on. I mean, we're talking about BeagleY right now mostly, but this applies to all the boards actually. So if you have a Play, if you have an A64, kind of same logic follows. So
what are you showing us, Robert?
I'm showing basically what it does on startup. So yeah, So this does the configuration. So on first boot up, you'll see it actually pull in my configuration data.
So we've added a new image type. It's a sysconf image type. So there's a sysconf script text file that Robert parses on boot up.
And there we go. Now it's running. So it's changing the username. And just right before that, it's generating the SSH keys. So fresh keys on boot up, send the Wi-Fi, send the host file. So sadly, it makes it boot a little bit longer because it needs to reboot after it reset everything. But at least on first boot up, it'll be personalized your image. So now it's rebooting.
I like this video too because you get to see the LED beside it, right? So you can see when it first comes up, in U-boot it comes up red, but then as soon as the kernel starts, it goes to the flashing green. And then you can see the pace of the flashing green, right? As it's doing more, the heartbeat goes a little bit faster. So you can kind of get a little bit of a feel for where it's having a workload. The resizing there is nice too. So now you got a fully customized.
Yep, it has your username, has your password. Yep, it's basically up and running.
And is that are you showing that over Wi-Fi? Because it's got your Wi-Fi connection there too.
That was just a demo I set up. So I don't think the Wi-Fi was set up on that demo. We were troubleshooting what does the LED codes mean for a couple of users who didn't have a serial port. So it's kind of showing the background of what was going on. But as you can see in that too, there is a boot menu option just to flash the NVMe. So we've got it set up basically out of the box. You can flash it from user space in Debian or just plug in the Raspberry Pi serial adapter and tell it, hey, I want to run it from the NVMe. It'll flash your OS right over.
Yeah, and reboots, and next time it boots off the NVMe with your root file system. It's really nice. It works. I haven't had it fail yet. So.
And one of the nice things too is I've added the ability once you've booted into the NVMe, there's still boot option to boot back on the old way. So if you're playing with testing different images, well, I want to update my SD card and then reflash the NVMe again. It's real easy to go back and forth.
So right now, those options though are only available over the serial port, right? So you need to have the like if you want to go to the boot configuration, the exe Linux conf configuration, right? So you have the several different options, but yeah, the Pi debugger is the easiest way to get access to the serial port, and then that'll allow you to get the prompt. That's really help new users right now until we get the display coming on in the bootloader, right? So there's still a little bit more work before the display comes up in the bootloader. Right now, it doesn't come up until after the kernel boots completely, until actually the GUI comes up.
And that's one of the crazy things. Like 6 months ago, there was no patches for this board. I mean, basically, quick bring up 6.1 kernel. There's a lot of hacks to make it work. So we don't have video boot up till it's way late, but yeah, it works. We're hoping with 6.6 later this summer we'll have full console boot, everything. So we have images to test for that now too, but yeah, right now there's no display that works in 6.6, but the board boots. So right now we're shipping 6.1. It's working pretty good.
Yep. And then do we want to talk pinout really quick?
Yay!
Yeah.
So Andre,
does someone want to bring it up?
Yeah. So
Andre's PinMux tool.
Andre, you went to pinout.xyz and said that kind of that's the best in class sort of documentation on using the pin headers, right? So using the hat connector on other boards, and said, hey, let's get that for BeagleY-AI. So now
Phil Gadgetoy did a great job with it. on the original Pi. So
super appreciative of his work, right? Hope that other people will reach out and sponsor his work. So I'm hoping everything's good. We've maintained all the links to thank him for his work and to encourage contribution and to point back to the original pinout.xyz. And now there's a vanity link, right? So right now it's pinout.BeagleY-AI. So I think that's the homepage for the pinout tool right now.
Yeah, correct.
I don't know if we'll, if BeagleY-AI.pinout.xyz is something we'll ever get to, or something like that. I don't exactly know what the roadmap is, but right now, if you want to get to that pinout tool, pinout.BeagleY.AI. I can bring it up.
Gonna bring it up, just because I have my all my recording stuff in the front, so it might mess with it.
There we go.
See, share screen. Let's share the whole screen. Which one? Not that one. That's you.
Yeah, it's still kind of a work in progress. It needs more things added, or at least you can always add more features to it. Nishant was very, very nice and critical of it yesterday, because he wants it to basically write the device tree files for him. He wants it to be sysconfig, but it's not that. But it's useful. I think it's useful if you're trying to find where a particular interface can be brought out. If you're ever trying to either use an accessory, if you're trying to design an accessory. Honestly, I feel like it'd be helpful if you had this type of interface when you're trying to build a board. Just because it kind of helps you visualize the pin muxing a lot better, and you can kind of spot things that might easily be missed, like how many timers you have on what pins, or things like that, like what signals you bring. But in this, right, is like you can click on either on the bottom left or the top right. You can click an interface, like you can click GPIO or PCM or something like that. PCM for I2S.
Yeah, I think this needs to have some of the basic information for using the GPIO, and I think we'll get that eventually. Right now, there's a somewhat longer guide on using GPIO that this points to. I'm thinking we're going to have a simplified guide here within this page at some point.
Yeah.
Right. Just with the simple, command line and Python code to use this, right? But so yeah, so you've got here's the I2S or PCM lines, PWM as well. All right, so places
PWM is a good one because you also get the chart there to see kind of how the peripherals map, and this is just hardware PWM. So if you're trying to figure out what PWM peripheral you need to attach to what GPIO pin, you can kind of look at that table there.
Of course, I2C.
And I think this is one that's come up on the forum quite a bit.
Basic information on
I2C, pins 2 and 3 maps exactly to the Pi's number name. So a lot of people question, like, where's my I2C? Well, that's I2C1 right there. So
yeah. Yeah, there's 3 I2C interfaces that are available that are hardware. Potentially. Yeah, I think we probably need to make that clear. List all the symlinks, because you can bring out 3 I2C interfaces, but really most hats should just use GPIO 2 and 3. So pins 3 and 5, but then there's the standard Pi brings that, and then you also have GPIO 0 and 1, but those are only meant for EEPROM hat detect. And same for us, right? So we have a bunch of peripherals that are on that shared with that I2C bus. Like you have the PMIC, you have the HDMI framer. So really, you're only meant to dangle a single EEPROM at the end of that just to see what hat you have available. That's kind of the supported use case. But we say that if you know what you're doing, feel free to try it. But your board might not boot. You might get weird behavior. You have device conflicts with the PMIC. I try to avoid that. So yeah. But then you can also bring out address. Yeah, and then you also have that special I2C4 that you can bring out. That's not standard for a Pi, but we have it extra there because the Muximos are available. And I guess that's one nice thing as well. So if you're not looking for a specific interface, you're just kind of curious on different pins. If you click a certain pin, right, you can see all the mux modes in it that are supported. So it's Alt 7's default MC GPIO, but you could also do I2C on that port. Or when something that has a lot of mux modes, you can actually it's kind of pin dependent. But there you go. Yeah, see, that's an example where you can do your MIC ASP, you have a audio ref block out, you have your PWM, and you have your EQD input.
Is there a good set of quadrature encoder pins? We need to add those.
There are, yeah. So it's part of the list. We need to add to the interfaces list on what we actually support. Right now, it's just meant to be a close one-to-one mapping with the Pi. Because the whole intent for this was, right, if you have an existing Pi project, just kind of help you jumpstart that. But yeah, definitely we need to add the special interfaces for the ACC. So
I think one of the most important things.
16...
So when you talk about GPIO and Pi compatibility, all the GPIO values are the same too now. So you can use GPIO get, find, and actually map your Raspberry Pi code to us.
Yeah, I think that's super important to point out to people, and I hope we can get clarified on this page, right? So when you do GPIO, you can use the same Python code for these pins, whether you're using a Pi or using a BeagleY-AI.
And that's why we have a nice example in the docs showing how to do that with one of the pins. But yeah, it goes across all of them.
So I definitely think that's something that we can clarify here.
And thanks to a nice patch by Nishon that now
so this is a command line.
Yep. And those work out of the box.
Yeah. So you can do the same type of operation. I know these are just command line GPIO find operations, but if you do get line, there's a way to do a get line by the name, and so you can use the same name in Python to fetch the pin. Is that documented here?
It might not be on that particular page.
Nope, this
okay.
is just
I've given the Python code a few times, so let me see if I can just make a direct contribution to the docs to give the Python version of that. Okay.
But we're starting to fill out the documentation as well. And again, always happy to take any input on what people want to see first, as far as what's kind of stopping them from building projects right now. The amount of feedback I've got so
showing off so definitely getting feedback from folks what needs to be, but I'll point out one area. We've now in the documentation got a direct provide feedback link. So this and now you can just jump directly to it's going to make me sign in.
You gotta set up passkeys on there. It actually makes signing in quite easy.
Does it? Does it?
It just lets you select, sign in with passkey, and it lets you just go through.
As long as nobody's watching us live and has my password, so I'm just going to assign this one to me. But you see, it automatically fills in everything and provides references to where the issue is in the documentation. And so just to try to encourage everybody to give us feedback through the Open Beagle collaboration tool, right? So So that creates an issue in the documentation. Yep.
We've gotten
So this is
Jason to ask
for
for Python
the
code. Amazing.
docs site. Or to learn to program with Python. I just don't think it's the best language. Anyway, there's for the pinout page, it's a little bit different, right? So it says contributed Open Beagle. We don't have the automatic issue, but you can file issues right here for pinout. And of course, you can also just fork it and, provide fixes to this source, right? And this is in comfortable markdown, right?
Yep.
To make Andre happy, because he doesn't like restructured text.
I'm warming up to it, but still markdown hard, So one thing where we actually would like contributions from both users and companies is if you click on the hats and add-ons tab in the middle there. So we are going pretty much one by one, right? There's a way you can contribute what hats you've tested that work. This page needs a little love, so feel free to contribute something you've tested and let us know. But this page is very nice because you can actually see any kind of modification you need to do from stock software or from examples that the manufacturer might provide on their main website. And you can also see when you click on a hat what pins it uses, which is nice. So if you need to write an overlay or anything like that.
Is this the one that you use? The DrinkBot, is this one?
No, the DrinkBot uses the Adafruit version. So that one, yeah, it actually uses
this one.
Yeah, and we have there's an entire write-up on the docs on how to use that specific hat, which I don't think that's going to take you to it. Unfortunately, I haven't updated the link.
Yeah, but if there's an extra write-up, we'll definitely want to get that linked here, right?
Yeah, it's on my list of updates.
I'll manually make an issue for you to close.
Thank you.
So it might be nice to add the issue button to there as well. With Open Beagle, there is a wait time for getting an account, unfortunately, because we were getting too much issue spam and people creating user accounts with spam links. But you can always reach out to me on Discord, or I think anybody else that's Robert or Deepak, I think also have the ability to approve user accounts here for Open Beagle to file an issue. So there might be a tiny wait, but shouldn't be too long.
Yeah, we're always fighting spam.
Yeah, we have reCAPTCHAs and all that fun stuff, but it's back to manually approving users on Open Beagle.
Yeah, so don't feel personal about it. It's just, the spam guys just got better and better, and now we're all fighting it.
That example of the person sending a CAPTCHA to ChatGPT and ChatGPT going, this is meant to start computers, but if a person was to read this, it would say.
So I'm loving this site. Super grateful. Right, in creating it, and hoping that we can contribute back to the main project.
Yeah, and eventually get all the other boards as well. So like BeaglePlay would be an easy one to add. Probably it's just the way that the site is working, and Phil is working on a revamped version 2. That's gonna probably be more friendly to edits, I guess, as far as how it's structured for different board form factors, things like that. So that's exciting. But in the meantime, this is going to be available, and once if he does do a version 2, we'll help port all the data back to it. So yeah, and this is definitely not a full list of hats we tested, right? This is just kind of where I managed to document it, and then we just need to add a lot more.
Yeah, like the I know the POE hats aren't here. I don't know if that's because they don't really use any of the pin resources. So I know we've tested a lot more than these hats.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. I just haven't had a chance to go through and just update that page. But that's on the list. Definitely.
And so if anybody wants to add one, right, they can submit pull requests.
Exactly. And there's actually there's a way to do it in the draft section. It's documented in the README how you're supposed to kind of ask for to add your own board.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's an overlay file kind of thing. So it's
And do we have a number of the ones that in the drafts already that people can kind of pull from and test?
Yeah, it should be an under overlay. There should be examples already, I think, or boards. Might be boards. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, so there's a template and some examples of stuff that got staged on pinout that never got fully merged. So
okay,
yeah, so that's pinout and that's exciting. So if people want to contribute or they have any feedback, that's going to be great. BeagleY. I also want to go to pinout.beagleboard.org. Yeah, so that's probably needs to do that.
I can make .org work if we want.
Yeah, but pinout.beagly.ai works great. So yeah,
I think it might be useful to have it just work with beagleboard.org as well, just to
and then we'll add. We still need to add stuff like adding the actual register offsets or things like that. The goal is right now it links you to TRM if you want to do really advanced stuff, but ideally you shouldn't have to leave the site even for small like device tree change type stuff. So
okay. We should put a link to BB Imager. For BB Imager, just before I forget about it, I might bring up this page for folks, right? If they're looking for the builds of BB Imager, we have the Mac and the Linux builds up here. We'll be doing Windows builds very soon now. Still working on, and I'm going to convert these from .debs. Right now, these are .debs that require Qt to be installed in order to run. I'm going to do app image, right? So we could do app image or Flatpak, and I think it's just going to be app image.
Yeah.
So there'll be
Qt. You're becoming a big fan of Qt, are you, Jason? Redacted explicit beep button. Where's my beep button?
We're supposed to be staying positive here.
Any Qt5. If there's any Qt5 developers, hit us up on Discord.
Anybody
thou shall not use Qt5.
Yeah, let us know what antidepressant medication you're taking, because it might be useful as well.
It's it's just to me, I think the biggest issue is kind of the split that they've had with the open source community in general, right? Right. So things don't stay very up to date in the distros, and it's always a kind of a pain to use old code that's not well aligned in with the distro. So it's just
and there's a specific company that likes to delete all Windows builds they've done previously, and very hostile to people that wanted to use the older Qt5.
Yeah, packaging issues aside, I mean, it's coming along. The utility itself is great. And yeah, hopefully, you know, some of the changes will actually go back to, you know, PyImager as well. And yeah.
Yeah, I think we can definitely have some useful contributions back to PyImager. I noticed there are some links here to. You can find it that way. If you're on the BeagleBoard website, you can find the link to the BeagleBoard imaging utility. I think one of the big ones, right? I think you may be doing the builds. It's a little bit difficult with you when you look at signing images, right? So obviously can't share keys, but sharing a process for using those right now. The Mac builds don't without building on the machine that has the keychain on it. Really not a good way to do this. And then Windows, right? I think you've got Circle CI and some solutions that provide this, but I'm actually trying to shift the building of Windows binaries actually to build them on Linux, right? So there's a nice tool, MXE, and OpenSCAD is using it, right? So I'm trying to shift both the building and the signing of Windows binaries to Linux, and then just go and test it at the end with Windows.
Yep. And I guess just to kind of refocus on BeagleY really quick, but I guess right now it's a lot of accessory testing. We're starting to see people build things with it. We're starting to see people trying to actually, bring it up. There's always questions, I guess. One of the big questions we've had was, and I'll touch on this just really quick, was running like AI inference on it. So as of July 9th, we have the C7s up and running. They're passing tests. So we're working on some demos in the next coming weeks. I think the next week or two, we should have demos up in the docs that people can use. And on the TI side, there's right now there's a big focus on basically cleaning up the entire stack so that we package it easier for things like Debian, which is going to make things nice in the long term for both BeagleY-AI and AI64 and every other board that uses C7s. So that's always exciting. In the meantime, Robert enables the Coral driver by default because he's sneaky like that.
Yeah, enabled by default if you want to test.
And then some of the other kind of feedback we've gotten, right? So like the Wi-Fi 6 is working. Bluetooth, we've had people kind of ask, is it BLE or Bluetooth Classic? It's BLE only, not Bluetooth Classic. So you can't do audio over the BLE chip by default, but you could always use an external like USB dongle if you wanted to do Bluetooth Classic. The idea why BLE is this is like an embedded device, right? So normally you use it for something like provisioning. Where this is kind of acting as your your provisioning service over BLE, not necessarily doing any kind of high speed data. But you can use it for sensors. You can use it for things like that to talk back and forth.
You can't do audio over BLE, right? It's not that you can't do audio over BLE, right? It's just that a lot of the traditional speaker pairing doesn't necessarily use that. So it's certainly possible to do audio over BLE.
Yeah. And then other questions I guess we've had, right, has been kind of like DSI displays for the most part. I think have been fine. I have a Pi DSI display that I use all the time with it now. There's always the question of adding more display support. So we do have other displays we've been testing around. We've reached out to a couple of the more prolific manufacturers, I guess, just to see if they're willing to test their displays against BeagleY as well, just because a lot of them have done like a one-time hacky job of like, here's a custom kernel version that that works for Pi, but it would be nice to just kind of have them just make generic overlays, right? If they have custom timings, things like that. And then CSI was another question that we get, right? So CSI right now is it works in the sense that IMX 209 over 5640 should be working. As far as at least still images go, if you install GStreamer, you should also be able to do that. That's kind of part of the whole AGI firmware stuff, apparently, that you need to bring in for GStreamer for the ISP to work over video. So that's also getting cleaned up this week. But that's kind of like the last little remnant bits, I guess, right? There's still little weird things, like the HDMI framer needs to be plugged in when you start the board. But I think, Robert, you said that should be better in 6.6.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, the 6.1 that we have is basically, you call it a hack to make it work. So it's kind of a miracle it works at all. But yeah, 6.6 later this summer should be in much better shape for video. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. PWM works great on the fan output. The tuning you have is perfect, nice and solid of every fan I've tried. Especially if I have it next to like the Pi. When the Pi boots, that thing is loud with the default heatsink. But
yeah, then last night I enabled more of the PWM pair. So for the last couple of weeks, you could only do single output. But with the overlays, I've now enabled some of all the pairs to work too. So there's a lot of. So the high precision ones have a dual output option. So.
Yeah. And then I have a new tiny JTAG clip here, version 2 now, that has the little cutout for the capacitors. And so the idea with it is when you're trying to plug in your JTAG right from the bottom, you need your retainer clip. You just 3D print this little bit, and it slides in between the ports like such, and it's kind of like a perfect friction fit. The board itself, and then you just plug in your tag connect in there, holds it. You got a nice little lever to pull it off when you're done. Works on both sides. But there is a version 2 now for a couple of people that have asked, so that is confirmed to work.
As the R5 Zephyr stuff kind of cleans up, I think one of the things that we're going to package is microblocks. So we've got Arduino compatible overlay for Zephyr, and then so essentially you could because the R5 can access the header pins, we can make a config where you can use Zephyr to program those, and then you can use the Arduino core on top of that, and then use microblocks on top of that. So you could actually just kind of bundle just a really simple GUI for doing real-time I/O stuff on the R5s on the I/O pins.
There's some interesting things I can think of with Node-RED as well, since Robert, I think you shipped the newer version of Node-RED too now, right?
Yeah, we're V4 is now shipping by default. So yeah,
that's
so
fine.
V4.02. Yeah,
I have mixed opinions on Node-RED, but credit where credit's due. It is kind of easy to get running.
It's there.
Yeah, and it's nice because you can talk over RP message with the R5 just if it's a serial device, right? So if you really wanted to, you could totally Node.js to the R5 core. Just over serial. I mean, if you already had a firmware load, right? Yeah.
So we're wrapping up.
Yeah, I think we're wrapping up pretty much. Yeah, I think we have some custom accessories that Seed's working on that are going to come out. There's a there's a custom cooler, some custom enclosures for it as well, just with some nice Beagle branding on there. They're going to be out there. It's going to be available at Micro Center at some point soon.
Yep.
I think we can say that's been confirmed, so that's going to be exciting.
Confirmed. I think there's I guess I can't. Yeah. So definitely Micro Center is confirmed. There's also some other cool projects in the works that I don't know that I can talk about. But there's some.
We'll get you in trouble this time. That's for the next next episode.
But you won't. There are many things that will bring you much joy if you get yourself a BeagleY-AI.
Yep. Sounds great. Well, feel free to go grab one. Go try to find one a distributor. When keep refreshing the page if it's not there. And let us know how it goes. Give us feedback. Open Beagle. Feel free to contribute. We're excited to see you on the Discord as always. And yeah, congratulations. It's out. BeagleY-AI.
Yay.
All right, signing off. See y'all next time.